I think the United States is going to be an even bigger player than it is right now by a lot when it comes to trade. A lot of that will have to do with our tax policy, which you'll be seeing in the not-too-distant future. We'll have an incentive-based policy, much more so than we have right now.
Joining me now to discuss Mark Serrano, Dave McIntosh, and Adriana Cohen. Adriana, the term incentive, this is what we want, incentives to be here. We've talked a lot about the carrot and stick, but ultimately that's what it's going to be about, isn't it?
It certainly is, and I see a lot of good coming out of this weekend-long meeting that the two world leaders are having. The United States and Japan can create, first and foremost, they need to cooperate with respect to defense. I mean, they need to contain nuclear North Korea, as well as rising China in the South China Seas. But on the economic front, they could potentially create new markets together over the next decade worth, about $450 billion. So there's a lot of economic, opportunities on the horizon, which they will hash out this weekend.
Mark, here's the thing. We know that Abe came bearing a lot of things, right? Potential to invest in infrastructure here. Now, let's be clear. They want to invest in our infrastructure projects in part because they want us to do things like use their high-speed trains. Anyone that's taking the Acela from New York to D.C. may not have a problem if it's only a one-hour trip. I know I don't. But $150 billion over 10 years, 700,000 jobs, what's not to like?
Look, I take that train almost every week, Charles, so I'm with you. I'll take the one-hour trip for sure. But look, Prime Minister Abe is a very, very shrewd player. He understands something that Democrats in the U.S. and the media and globalists don't understand, that Donald Trump is a guy who's willing to do business. Trump recognizes that Japan is responsible for 1 million manufacturing jobs in the U.S. Our trade deficit with Japan is $58 billion. That's nothing compared to the $368 billion we've got with China. He recognizes, to Trump's credit, that the U.S.-Japan relationship is going to serve as a fulcrum against Chinese aggression and expansion throughout that region of the world. So look, Trump is applying 18-hole diplomacy. By the time those guys hit the ninth fairway, they probably will have negotiated a new bilateral trade deal tomorrow afternoon. This is very good politics and good for the U.S.
Speaking of which, David, during the campaign, then candidate Trump talked a lot about Japan and other countries where we have a large military presence, paying for those bases, pulling their own weight. But then we saw where Mattis, his first stop was Korea, second stop Japan, refocusing on the notion that we better send China a strong message, not just economically, but militarily, particularly with those South China Sea man-made islands that are now being militarized. How important is that with respect to the overall idea of getting some sort of economic plan, the fact that we have now recommitted to the safety of the Japanese people?
Oh, I think it's a huge commitment. It makes enormous sense for us in economic terms as well. They're an incredibly important trading partner, as was just mentioned. Unfortunately, the Pacific Trade Agreement fell apart, but President Trump has said he wants to do that over again as bilateral agreements. More power to him. We need to reinforce that. We need to secure Japan, and we shouldn't incentivize them to pick up a lot of military. Let me ask you on this, David, because there's still a lot of folks out there who don't like these trade agreements. They don't like the globalistic aspect of it and the idea that we've lost big time with the ones that exist currently. We do have a pretty big trade deficit with Japan vis-a-vis everyone except China. And it's tough for us to sell into that country. What will we need from them in order to open up their markets to us as we ride their high-speed trains from New York to D.C.? Yeah. I think we take advantage of the things they offer. Mitsubishi does a great job on those heavy industry infrastructure projects.
How do we make them open their markets?
We push them really hard. We've not done a good job of opening up the agriculture markets over there. And so I like the idea that President Trump will be negotiating to say we need to have more access as we give you access to our markets. Yeah, Adriana, I think we sell like $30 billion a year in soybeans to China. Why can't we do the same with Japan? So this I think is absolutely amazing. I think we should remind the audience as well that Abe came to visit President Trump at Trump Tower.
And when he came down off that elevator, the golden elevator, his demeanor was such that we saw it reinforced today. These guys embrace each other, not just as world leaders, but almost as friends who understand that they want to help their countries, but they have a certain kind of respect. And it didn't come from bowing. It came from a position of strength.
Yes, mutual strength. And one area where the United States can have economic growth is by exporting more energy to Japan. And Japan is open to that, especially after the 2011 Fukushima disaster with their power plants. I think that now that President Trump is going to drill, and there's an opportunity there to export more energy to Japan.
That is a fantastic point. Cheniere Energy, LNG, almost close to being able to export liquid natural gas. Natural gas, we get it here for about $3 a unit. In Japan, it costs $18, $20, and they have sworn off nukes. So Mark Serrano, we've got an amazing situation here with a country that I don't remember, to be quite frank with you, President Obama doing much with Japan at all, pro or con. It's an important area of the world. It's probably going to grow. That whole Asia area is going to grow faster than the rest of the world for the next 50 years. It's really a brilliant move, and the timing is perfect to get the parameters straight on how we could take advantage.
Donald Trump is practicing the art of relationships here in ways that President Obama just didn't have the gift, the natural ability to pull off at all. You know, Obama didn't seek relationships like that. I mean, you remember in his first tour of Asia, all he was doing was sort of bowing, and because he wanted to bring the United States down a notch. Instead, we've got an equal partner. I mean, Japan is crucial for the global stability from a security standpoint, but also from an economic standpoint. Donald Trump is demonstrating a redefinition, Charles, of the presidency. He's using his own skills as a deal maker, and he's changing the entire paradigm globally. And it starts with Japan. This is very, very significant, and I look forward to hearing what they will have accomplished tomorrow on the golf course, because I'm telling you, they will be cutting deals for industries to perform better in the Japanese marketplace.